But what I also want to do before we get into this is go into the most recent War Within beta dev notes. We got some class tunings. We're not going to go through every single class. We'll probably just do tanks and rogues, because it's, some of you don't know, my actual main is a rogue. So we're going to go through that as well. I've seen a couple of them, but I haven't gone too far into it. So yeah, let's check these changes out. So first off, let's see, beta realms are back. That's cool. I didn't realize that they were gone, but I did see a lot of people talking about, you know, how do I explore Dornegal and stuff like that. So that's good. Classes, hero talents that require an investment in other talents will now display as red and show error text if you are missing a dependency. That's a good point. Hold on one second. Let me close my window here. Let's see, Deathbringer for Death Knight. It's just Frost. We don't need to worry about that for Frost. Sand Lane, Frenzied Bloodthirst now increase the damage of your Death Coil and Death Strike by 4% per stack. Was 3%. It's pretty good. It's just a nice little. It's not major, but it's something. Blood, all damage increased by 10%. Okay, so I think I've heard that we're getting just kind of tank buffs for damage across the board, which I don't think is necessarily needed for just like pure damage output. Like obviously it's nice to do more damage, but I think more so the threat issue that we've had across beta could probably be resolved with some more damage. So that's good. I like that. Bone Storm now consumes up to 5 bone shield charges, was 10 and lasts 2 seconds longer per shield spent. I think it's good. Bone Shield or Bone Storm used to just wipe away like all of your stacks pretty much, and you could get killed pretty quickly in the middle of the build up from it. So that's nice, and you also don't lose any duration because it's doubling the time. So that's a huge plus. I'm gonna skip Frost, Unholy, Demon Hunter, Fellscarred. Yeah, Demon Surge damage reduced by 6%. That's probably warranted. I was watching, I think Yoda do like 3 million damage on pulls. Like insane. But he also was talking about how he doesn't like that meta is kind of an offensive cooldown as well, because now he feels like he has to use it as opposed to being able to save it. So that's something of note. Focus Hatred now increases Demon Surge damage by 50% when it strikes a single target. Was 35%. Okay, so we're getting some single target damage out of Fellscarred. Burning Blade now deals 60% of auto attack and chaos strike damage over 6 seconds. Was 15%. That feels like a pretty big jump, you know? Is that 45% increase? That seems pretty hefty. All right, on to Druid. Ruthless Aggression. Druid of the Claw. Ruthless Aggression increases your attack speed by 35%. Was 20%. Seems pretty good. An extra 15% attack speed. It's nice on bears because they just have like that regulated attack speed, so anything that increases it was really nice. Killing Strike increases your agility by 8%. Was 5. Nice. Strike for the Heart increases critical strike chance and damage by 10%. Was 6. Okay, I think a lot of these are more feral if I'm remembering correctly. These don't really pop up for me as Guardian, but I also don't play a lot of Druid of the Claw, so I could just be missing that. Tear Down the Mighty reduces the cooldown of Feral Frenzy and Pulverize by 10 seconds. I don't think we really ever take Pulverize, so it's not really too major. Guardian. Ravage damage to your primary target increased by 35%. Dreadful wound damage increased by 25%. Empowered Shapeshifting increases mangle damage by 15%. Was 10. Bestial Strength increases maul and raise damage by 20%. Was 10. Wild Power Surge increases the damage of your next ferocious bite or rip by 225%. Was 100%. So that's a pretty nice little jump for feral. I mean, for if you're cat weaving. I don't know many people who cat weave. I actually don't know many people who play Druid of the Claw. I was hanging out in a lot of the tank discords this weekend, and the Druid Discord seems to say that Druid of the Claw is like light years ahead of Elun's Chosen. I don't know if they're only speaking in damage terms, which is very possible. I kind of figured it would be ahead in damage, but I haven't seen anybody really playing Druid of the Claw well on beta. Everybody just gets absolutely obliterated, and most people who are playing Druid are playing Arcane Bear, like kind of like unanimously playing Arcane Bear. So I'm curious to see. I might try some Druid of the Claw today and just see how it feels, because if the whole Discord is kind of behind that, it's usually in the right direction. But we're gonna try a couple different builds. We're gonna try some some arcane bear with raise, which we usually don't even play raise. Because honestly, every time I play raise, Ursox Fury's garbage. Like, it's garbage. But we're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna try it, and we'll see what our overall is for it. Maloon's Chosen, Guardian. Lunar Insight increases Moonfire damage by 8%, was 10%. Okay, so they're kind of nerfing the Moonfire damage. Okay. Balance is getting a ton of changes. We're not going to go through that too much, but Guardian, melee auto attack and all bear abilities increased by 20%. That's nice. I think bear already did pretty good damage, so I think that this was just going to help, probably mainly the arcane bear that's not taking raise. It's going to help that a lot with threat, being able, because I was even swiping, which is bad, but I was just swiping for threat. So if my Thrash and Moonfires, well, Moonfire damage looks like it got reduced by 15%, but I guess that's not a bear ability technically. But I think like Thrash, raise will probably be even better for threat. But like I've been thrashing and swiping, just trying to hold aggro on things. So we'll see if it feels any better going into this. We'll do one with just straight up Thorns of Iron, and then we'll do one with Raise, and we'll do one with Druid in the Claw today. So we'll get a couple different bear attempts in. Let's see, Evoker. This was actually big. I was only going to focus on tanks, but Augmentation, getting Ebb and Might increases primary stat, getting that reduced by 1.5%, and then losing closest clutch mates. Like, this is massive. This is a massive nerf to Aug. Which, I mean, cool. I've always kind of wanted Aug to be a little bit worse. I think people lean into it too much. I think it's very good at the high end and very bad on the low end. And if you're playing in a low end group, you're going to play worse on Aug than any other class, just because it's kind of team related. But this might kind of deter people from doing that in the lower end groups, which I think will be good for Mythic Plus as a whole. Because there was nothing worse than seeing like, oh, you know, +2, and they're over here, we need an Aug. So you don't need an Aug. It's +2. So we'll see if that actually changes. It might make M+ a little bit more inclusive, which I think is always a good thing. All right, let's go down to Monk. Brewmaster, all abilities increased by 15%. So they're just getting that kind of aura buff across all tanks. Nothing really substantial. This is a Mistweaver talent. Okay, nothing really crazy for Brew, just a nice little damage jump. Windwalker got a ton of buffs, which is sweet because I've been playing Windwalker on the side. And then we got Pally. Okay, let's see if Pally is gonna survive. We got Holy, we got a ton of Holy. This is not what they needed. I think they already did really good damage. This wasn't it, Liz. Should have been all defensives increased by 15%. Well, who knows? I still stand by the fact that Pally is probably going to get a massive buff like 2 weeks before we go live. And I think it's going to become like a meta tank. Like, I think it's going to be that weird sleeper class that nobody likes. And then Blizz is going to come out and just do like a 40% buff on all the abilities, add some, revert all the defensive nerfs, and just be like, all right, here's your prop Pally. So we'll see. Priest, Rogue, Fatebound Coin, Heads. Additional stacks now increase damage by 2% per stack, was 1%. Fatebound Coin, Tails, damage increased by 50%. Nice. Lucky Coin, damage increased by 50% or 70%. That's big. Delivered Doom now increases Fatebound Coin Tails damage by 30% when striking a single target, was 21, so we got a little single target love. Good. Fate Intertwine now duplicates 30% of Envenom critical strike damage to 2 nearby enemies, was 20%. I believe that is Dispatch for Outlaw. So that's nice. That's just like a little added, some added, splash damage. Now we got Trickster, Unseen Blade damage increased by 78%. That's kind of a hefty jump. Okay. I do think Fatebound just gets this. I think Fatebound is just massive now. I think they were close. I think Trickster was a little ahead, but I think Fatebound just takes it. So that's huge. I'm happy for it. Rogues have definitely been needing some gameplay changes, but we'll take some number changes too, I guess. All right, I main Outlaw, so we're gonna jump right to Outlaw. All ability damage increased by 10%, solid. Auto attack damage increased by 10%, solid. Killing spree damage increased by 8%, solid. Combat potency now increases energy regeneration by 30%. Energy regen for Outlaw was really the killer. in between like your stealth windows and your adrenaline rush windows are really, really bad for keep it rolling. So that's huge. That's good. Ace up your sleeve now grants 5 combo points. When triggered was 4. That is something that the entire rogue community has wanted since they changed that to 4. So that's a revert from a long time ago, which is huge, because you typically kind of finish at like 5 or 6 combo points in your stealth window. Outside of your stealth window, you're obviously going for a little higher. But when you gave 4, it was like ace up your sleeve was you spam that in stealth. You had 6 seconds in a stealth window, and your goal was to get ace up your sleeve procs to refresh your combo points so you could spam between the eyes over and over and over again. But when you were getting 4 combo points, you had to have a builder in between them to get to 5 to spend. So it felt really, really clunky. And so that's actually a massive W for Outlaw. Sweet. We'll probably play some Outlaw today too. Shaman, I've been playing a little Elemental, but I feel like Elemental got the work. I was in their Discord when the notes dropped and everybody was kind of dooming. I was actually, like I said, I was in all the tank Discords over the weekend. It's so funny to see how each community feels about their class, and how like an outside perspective is so different from it. Like I was in the Pally Discord, I saw somebody say, "At least we're not bears." But at least we're not bears. Bears are great right now. What are you talking about? At least we're not bears. So it's weird. Like everybody dooms on like very odd things that other people don't really think about. So if you're dooming about your class, just relax. It's gonna be okay. All right, Warrior, shield slam damage increased by 8%. Thank God that's not prod only. My arms warriors with shields are gonna thrive. Colossus, Tide of the Battle increases the damage of your revenge by 10% per stack, was 5%. It's kind of massive. Practice strikes increases damage done by mortal strike. Arms, mountain muscle, and scars increase all damage done by 4%. All right, protection. Dominance of the Colossus increases damage dealt to targets by up to 20%, was 10. Nice, okay. Mountain Thane. Mountain Thane's my favorite hero spec for hero tree for Prot Warrior. Thunder Blast damage reduced by 5%. Fantastic. I love that I say it's my favorite. First one's a nerf. Lightning Strike damage is increased by 30%, and ground current damage reduced by 25%. Okay, not kind of balancey, I guess. Melee attack and all abilities increased by 30%. Revenge damage increased by 25%. Execute damage increased by 50%. Devastator damage increased by 25%. That's just like your auto attacks. Shield charge primary target damage increased by 25%, and Ravager damage increased. Oh, maybe I said yeah, Ravager. Okay, I wasn't sure if I mixed those up. Okay, I feel like Warrior may have gotten the weaker buffs, because Revenge is something you're not going to be spamming. It's not something you use all the time, so that buff's good but not great. It's still a good little buff. Ravager damage is probably nice. Shield charge damage is nice. Devastator damage is nice because that's going to be the auto attacks. All right, that's pretty much it for tank changes. Actually, you know what? Since we have a minute where we are, new devout. Okay, we got dungeon tuning. Okay, are we about to survive? Here we go. 32 minutes ago. New Devour affix. Okay, let's see what we got. Thank you for all your feedback on our new Mythic Plus affix system. First of all, I'm going to say right now, the orbs that are coming in are absolute garbage. Continuing the theme of Xalatath's Bargain, where players can harness powerful boons granted to the dungeon enemies by the Harbinger, we're adding a new affix to our beta testing this week, Devour. While in combat, Xalatath tears open rifts that devour the essence of players. The rift unleashes its energy after 15 seconds, healing all enemies in combat. The rift collapses if it is dispelled or players receive enough healing, granting all players critical strike chance and maximum health. That's a dub for Brew. More health for Brew is good, and you kind of just run verse crit, so that's actually really nice. So players receive enough healing. I wonder if it puts a heal absorb or if it's just like a number that you have to hit. If it's dispelled, that's probably fine too. I think most people can dispel that pretty quickly. Dungeon adjustments. Okay, here we go. This is what they should have did before they nerfed the hell out of tanks. Rive's physical damage vulnerability reduced from 20% to 10%. Physical damage vulnerability, so he takes more or less damage. Okay, unless that's like, yeah, that would be less damage. Rives damage reduced, general umbrus. Skull splitter damage reduced. Skull splitter can now be blocked, huge for warriors. And I guess prop ally. Draga Shadowburner increased the recast time of Invocation of Shadow Flame. That's huge. That shit sucked when it would just like double cast. Uridax crushes physical and shadow damage reduced. Beautiful. Depleted anima seeds no longer have an interact condition. So you thank God that you can just use the seeds now without having to be a fucking Tauren. So that looks like we have our spawn points in the dungeon. That's huge. Okay. Drust Harvester, Spirit Bolt damage reduced, beautiful. Misveil Defender, Misward recast time increased, beautiful. Ingram Malik, Force Compliance recast increased. Repulsive Visage recast increased. So I'm guessing that means increased time. It just says recast, but I'm assuming it's like everything else. Tredova, Coalescing Poison range reduced. Okay, so how far you got to get out of that circle? That's big. I really like, because that was really bad because you'd get stuck with Mind Link in that and you'd be slowed right next to somebody. So you'd just be taking so much Mind Link damage. So that being reduced is going to let you get out of that and get away from that Mind Link a hell of a lot easier. All right, Arakara, City of Echoes. The last boss at Arakara was kind of deadly. So let's see. Avanox will now reset if she is pulled off her platform. I did see some people tanking her literally around the entire like the 3 different platforms and just running away from her mobs, which kind of nullifies the whole mechanic of it. So it makes sense they did that. Voracious Bite damage vulnerability reduced from 100% to 50%, massive. We used to take so much damage from the Voracious Bite after the first one. It can now be blocked. Massive W for warriors and pallies, probably more so for warriors because all they're blocking most of that damage now. Increase the recast time of alerting shill, great. Adjust the spawning locations of starved crawlers to be more consistent, beautiful. So now that they won't be so random. Anub Zaket, bloodstained web mages no longer spawn during Eye of the Storm. That's huge. The web mages used to spawn in Eye of the Storm and you could not get to them to interrupt because if you ran into the storm, you just died. So the fact that they don't spawn in it is a huge W for melee comps. I used to have to Transcendence on Brew, roll out into the abyss, kick it, teleport back, and hope I didn't die in the window. So that's a huge dub. City of Threads, Fang of the Queens, pacing of abilities reduced. That's good. Sometimes you're just chasing for like 30 seconds and there's a pain in the ass. Remove Dark Paranoia and Shadow Sunpour from the encounter. Nice. Edna, Seismic Smash damage reduced. Beautiful. That thing, I got killed on Bear the other day and it did 12 million damage to me. And so that's massive. Did 12 million damage to me and I think I had Iron Fur and Bark Skin up or something. Crystalline Smash can now be blocked. Okay. So warriors and prop pallies getting some love here. Master Machinist, Flaming Scraps durations reduced. Igneous Hammer damage reduced. Great. Blazing Crescendo now is a precast visual on the lava waves directions. Good, because those things just come out of fucking nowhere. They always went the same way, but they were just like just blast right out. Overall, these are really good dungeon changes. It's just kind of a flat damage reduction to most of the dungeons, which is going to be great for tanks that are taking more damage now. This is what they needed to do. Even the stuff that's like recast time is increased. That's huge because you have like that little window in between cast, which I'm guessing means if you stun them or you interrupt them in some way, they're not just going to recast again. There's going to be a duration in between it. So that's solid. Arakara changes. I'm very surprised we didn't see any changes to the last boss. They did take away what's it called? It's the AoE poison dot that just goes out. They took that away in earlier builds, so that's huge. Let's see. I really like the Edna changes. That was a pug killer on the first boss 30 seconds in. Good change. The Crystalline Smash wasn't a huge deal, but I like that more abilities are being able to be blocked. That's going to help pallies out. It's going to help warriors out. They're not going to be so viciously attacked by tank busters when like half of your thing when you have a shield is using your shield. And if your tank buster is not, your shield can't do anything to tank busters, it's kind of useless. I think they did. I think they should have put, for Master Machinist, I think they should have put a shared health pool here. I think a lot of their issues would be solved if they had a shared health pool. So that's a change I would like to see in the future. But I do like the hammer reduction, the scrap reduction. Like all these tank busters are getting reduced, which is pretty massive. Yeah, Twilight Overseer, Rives damage reduced. It's like I said, it's just like a flat damage reduction to a lot of things in the dungeon. So overall, good changes. Good changes. I was worried we were going to see some bunk ones, but I think everything here looks good. I'm really excited about the coalescing poison being reduced, because coalescing poison or coalesced poison, like I said, would just be poorly timed a lot. I would like to see that interaction with Mind Link not be so close, but for right now, we'll take that. At least you can get out of it a little bit easier. You can get away from the Mind Link. You can do all these things that you couldn't before. Even with the orb affix, so that pulls the orbs in, it was super counterintuitive to play, because you had to get out of her poison, you had to split from Mind Link, but you also needed to get these orbs before they got to her, so she didn't get 100% damage reduction. So having a smaller area to get out of, where you can actually move and break Mind Link a little quicker, and then also get back closer to get orbs that are coming in, is going to be really, really good. Let's see. I do like, so far without playing it, I think the Rift is a good affix. If it's based on just players receiving health, that's good, because healers are just healing. So as long as it's not like a insane amount that you need to like blast cooldowns to get through, if you can just naturally heal and you got 15 seconds to do so, then I think that's good. And depending on how much it heals too, if it heals all enemies in combat, does it max their health out, or does it give them a hot, or does it give them what? So that's something that is going to be something we'll have to feel out. But we've made some updates in the beta this week. Also includes the pass on tank damage intake. Yeah, that's W. They should have did this first. But Voracious Bite's a good change. Everything's good. I'm a little bit more excited to go in it. I think it's going to be a lot less punishing for pugs to go into stuff, because a lot of times, like anytime I'd go into a pug group, all I do is pug. I don't have any of my buddies playing the beta right now, so all I do is pug. And sometimes people just aren't prepared for the amount of damage that comes out. If you've been playing the beta for a little bit, you got some familiarity with it. But if you're new and you go into Mist, which is like a 10-year-old dungeon that you've done 100 times, and Spirit Bolt just fucking 50% somebody, you're like, what the hell? And it doesn't say how much it was reduced. I'm hoping it's a hefty chunk, because I've tanked for most of the beta, but the one time I think I played like mage or somebody really, really squishy and got hit with a Spirit Bolt, I was like, what the fuck was that? Did I just get meleeed? Like, it was so much damage from just like a random target cast. And with the whole, like, if you stun, they just cast right, like, again right afterwards. They need to be reduced even more, I think. But I say more, but we don't know how much is reduced. So this is actually these are good changes. W Blizz.